new missile systems for Iran: TOS-1A multiple rocket, S-400, K-300P and T-90. Iran previously sought to acquire S-300P Mu-2 missile systems, MiG-31 heavyweight interceptors and T-72 battle tanks from Russia. And though it failed to acquire any aircraft from post-Soviet Russia, it did gain a license to manufacture several hundred T-72 tanks domestically, which currently comprise the mainstay of its armored units. Iran has attempted to compensate for its lack of major imports of foreign hardware by attempting to manufacture systems domestically, including the Kurar battle tank and the Bavar 373 air defense system. Neither of these are though to be capable of matching their modern Russian counterparts. It remains to be seen what kind of armaments Iran will seek to acquire, but with the country's aerial warfare capabilities lagging particularly far behind, these are likely to be prioritized. The S-400 system is a likely choice, and Russia has expressed willingness to export the system to Iran in the past after sales to neighboring Turkey. While acquisition of at least some new fighter units is almost certain given the age and limited capabilities of the current fleet. The United Nations Security Council's arms embargo on offensive weapons to Iran nears its end. Speculation has been rife regarding the kinds of armaments the country is likely to show interest in. While Iran has remained a major client for North Korean military hardware, and according to some American estimates spends over $1 billion on Korean arms annually, other potential suppliers have made clear that they would only make major transfers of offensive weapons after the embargo ends in October 2020. Russia in particular has emerged as a leading potential supplier of modern armaments to the Iranian armed forces, with Tehran showing an interest in its hardware since the late 1980s, when several major deals were signed with the Soviet Union. While attempts by Iran's armed forces to acquire major weapons systems from the 1990s were scuppered by Western pressure on Moscow, the deterioration of relations between Russia and the Western Bloc is likely to facilitate transfers of whatever conventional hardware Tehran can afford. While Iran's need for and interest in acquiring modern fighter jets has been widely discussed, with the Su-30 and possibly the newer MiG-35 and Su-57 being potential leading candidates, other weapons systems which Iran is expected to show interest in were alluded to in a Pentagon report. The report highlights T-90 battle tanks, S-400 hypersonic surface-to-air missile systems and K-300P Bastion coastal defense systems as platforms which Iran is expected to prioritize acquiring, alongside mention of Su-30 air superiority fighters. The report also noted that China could be a major supplier of modern arms to Iran after October 2020, although failing to specify the kind of Chinese hardware Iran was likely to seek out. Turkey develops long-range air-to-air missiles can destroy modern tanks. Turkish Air Force has recently test-fired two indigenous classes of air-to-air missiles, the Beyond Visual Range Gökdogan and the Visual Range Bozdogan. Both of these missiles are still relatively early in their testing stages, and were fired from ground-based launchers against target drones. The missiles appear intended as analogies to the American AIM-120C AMRAAM and the AIM-9 Sidewinder respectively, both of which are currently deployed by Turkish F-16 Fighting Falcons. While a number of states have integrated indigenous short-ranged missiles onto American fighters for visual-ranged combat, the British AIM-132 and Israeli Python 4 being prime examples. The Gökdogan appears to be the first attempt to replace the F-16 single-S long-range armament. Information on the date of the test, the missile's range and when it can be expected to enter service have not been published. The missile's range is estimated at somewhere between that of the AIM-120B, at 75 kilometers, and that of the AIM-120C at 105 kilometers. Although a slightly longer range is also possible given the age of these American designs. Like the AIM-120, the Gökdogan benefits from fully active radar homing, providing it with fire-and-forget capabilities critical to modern fighters. While the F-16C, Turkey's only class of modern fighter, is set to integrate the missiles. The upcoming TFX fighter is also likely to be equipped with the indigenous missiles. The possibility also remains that Turkey could seek to integrate the missiles onto classes of Russian fighter which it is currently negotiating the purchase of, such as the Su-35 and MiG-35, much as India has done with its own Russian Su-30 jets by integrating its indigenous Astra missile. Should Turkey improve the design further, and potentially surpass the capabilities of the AN-120C by the end of the decade, it could have considerable export potential across the Middle East and beyond the states such as Pakistan and Jordan, which also deploy the F-16. F-16 operators which lack access to the AN-120, namely Egypt, Venezuela and Iraq, could also be leading clients.